Hi folks, hope you're doing well. So, yes. Listen to a song just then. A song called Invisible by Alison Moyet, and it brought back so much. Not from when I was 15 and I first heard it, but of all those times that I felt invisible to God over the 30 years, all those times when I felt that he could have answered, he could have given me something where I was at that time, he could have helped in some way. But, of course, now I realise he was there all the while and he was fixing me. The problem is, as I say, it was likened to you being in the oven and where the Lord keeps coming in and having a look and, nearly done. Still got to leave you there for a bit longer, but nearly done. 20 years. 20 years. Over 20 years, really. 20 years. It's I say it is older, more like 25, 26 years, because I started writing the thing years ago called actually I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, it's completely gone. It's escaped me for a second. It was basically talking about dealing with your issues before you crash. Because everyone has tons of stuff, tons of baggage, and if you don't deal with that, and if you don't get help to deal with that, then the devil could easily use that to destroy you. Avoid the crash, that's what it's called, not what I was writing then. And of course I didn't, I crashed. And actually I started writing Avoid the Crash before 2000, about a year or two before 2000, and so before then the break-in started, and so it was a tough time. It was a lonely time. It was a time of incredible frustration. Having so many questions but then no answers. And well then, as I say, after, because the vision I got, that would have been before 2000 as well, and the dream, and that would have been just after 2000, I would guess, or around about 2000 that would have been. And so certainly from that point in time, the frustration levels just went up and 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 up. But I say, even Avoid the Crash was about me being fully aware that there's so many people in church who, if they're not helped, they're going to crash in a massive way. And the devil's going to try and take them down. That was my understanding then. So, from that time there's been incredible frustration, and I know that there are people out there who are incredibly frustrated, and they're struggling, and they're hoping, and they're hanging in there. Because the problem is that once you choose God, if you properly choose God, this is for those who properly choose God, there is no other way to go. You can't give up. Saying you can't, I was wanting to so many times. Wanting to leave Christianity behind, wanting to leave relationship with God behind, because it was purely disappointing. It was empty. It felt as if God didn't care, and that He didn't notice me, and that all my questions just went to somewhere empty. That's how it felt. Now, of course, that was never the case, but that's how it felt. And so I know there are people who are in that sort of situation. And so therefore, yes, when I do videos, I'm doing videos based upon the understanding, generally speaking. Now, I will sometimes do a video on football, sometimes do a video on politics, but it's mainly doing videos because I believe that God wants me to speak about that subject. This video here, God wants me to speak about being invisible or feeling invisible. Because there are people out there who feel invisible. And it's important for them to understand not only is it not just them, but also your feelings are completely BS, really. They're telling you things that are not true. To God, you're not invisible, you never have been, you never will be. But right now, if God is doing a work in you, that is for your blessing in the future. Absolutely for your benefit. God wants to use you, but God has to reshape you. God has to fix the things in you that are broken before He can use you. Now, if you understand it from that point of view, doesn't it make it so much easier to go through things like that? Well, of course it would, if you understood it in that way. So, am I expecting people just to believe me? No, I'm expecting them to go to God about it. Because, as I say, the thing with God is, there are things that God wants to tell you right now, but until you ask the right questions, you won't get the answers. Because you won't receive until you're ready to receive. And that's the reality. Because you can't receive until you're ready. And so you won't receive until you're ready, because you can't receive until you're ready. And so there are many people in church who are way too immature to receive anything that's deep. Because what they want is shallow relationships with each other and with God. And so therefore God will never go deep with them. To a few, they want to go deep. But the problem is, are they ready for what is deep? Because the problem is, if their rock is based upon the church as it's believed the church is by the people in the church, once they start going deep, they start to understand that that isn't real. Well, it's not of God. So therefore that's not really real, that's of God. And therefore their whole foundation is going to get shaken. So until you're ready for that to be shaken, you're not in a position to understand. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have felt invisible or feel invisible right now, no. If you feel invisible, it means that God is seeing you more than He saw you before. Because He's dealing with you. He's dealing with the things in you. And so, That doesn't mean, however, that if you're not hearing from God, it means that God is dealing with you, because that doesn't. Because, like, for example, the chap at the River Church who gave that message that was absolutely awful, he believed that he was in the wilderness and God had put him in the wilderness for a time and time, and that God was going to bring him out the wilderness and use him. Well, that wasn't true. Never was true. But he'd been taught that in church, believing that if things aren't happening, it's because God has put you into the wilderness for a time, but he's going to use you. But that just is not true. That's not biblical in any way, shape or form. No. The reality is that when it comes down to it, you are where you are, and that's why, as I say, it's really important to look at the issue of fruit, because even if you feel invisible, even if you're struggling, there will still be elements of fruit there. So it's very important to identify fruit and to identify if you are a branch that is alive. Now again, feeling invisible, feeling nearly dead does not mean you're dead. Right? Yeshua said the Father is the vine dresser. So the purpose of the vine dresser is to help those branches that are not bearing fruit to bear. And those that bear to bear more. So, come on. There you go. I wish you well. Enjoy. Have a fantastic week ahead. Be blessed and be a blessing. And, lift your head up and focus above. Stop focusing on what you can see, because what you can see is purely a distraction. And what you can see is incredibly limiting. Do that thing that I've said, God said to me a long time. Find a photo. If you see a photo or a picture, go right up to it. Open your eyes and then understand how much you can see of your life. How much you can see of what is going on in your life. What you can see of the picture is probably more than what you can see in your life. So yes, it looks a bit dodgy. That's because it's blurred. Okay? You take care. God bless. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.